Hello everyone, it is Renee aka Vicious Vixen, and let's go ahead and hop right into this tutorial, which is the video for Greed, the special effects version. First, I'm going in with my eyebrows. I use the E.L.F brow lift to brush that through my brows and push them up to get them flat, and I'm going to use a spatula and the purple Elmer's glue stick to keep them down, just to protect them. And while that dries, I'm going to go ahead and start prepping my hair. I have it in just some straight backs, which are just braids. I'm going to go over that with a wig cap just to get any little stray hairs just in case. And then over that, I'm going to put on a latex bald cap. I think I just got this from the Halloween store. Again, I kind of stockpile this kind of stuff, so I could not properly tell you exactly where I got it from. And I'm just stretching that taut over my head, and I'm going to pull it way in front of my hairline just so I don't risk pulling out any of my edges. And I'm going to use a jumbo pencil to mark out a space. So I'm drawing a line where the bald cap ended, and I'm going to draw a line where my hairline begins, and the space in between that is where I'm putting the liquid latex. That way my actual hairline isn't damaged, because I like having edges. And once the latex gets a little bit tacky and it's dried down a little bit, I'm just going to stretch the edge of the bald cap over that, and I'm going to make sure I hold it kind of taut just so it adheres. And I'm also going to go over the edge of that. Doing this, I am going to make sure I'm letting each layer dry in between just so I can work on blending that edge together, and I'm also stippling it. And I'm also going to kind of push down the ear tabs. This side tore, but since I'm putting fake ears over that and they're kind of big, I just tacked it down with some liquid latex and held it there. And you can't even tell the difference. But I did make sure to go all around the edges because I wanted the bald cap as tight as possible, just so it would give the appearance of it being smooth. And after I did that a few times, I started working on other parts of the makeup. So I took a white jumbo pencil. Once again, this was my best friend during this process. And I used my filigree mask to go ahead and trace around the area that I was going to have to apply the liquid latex, which was my adhesive. I didn't know if painting inside of that border would affect how well it stuck. So I wanted to go ahead and just mark out a general area to avoid. And I went ahead and started putting on some of my other appliances. So I started with my ears first, just because I knew that once I put on the filigree mask, I wouldn't be able to see as well, especially not in a mirror. And while my ears are small, so there's not much contact that could be made with the ears, especially with the size of them, I did put liquid latex on my earlobe and the curve of my ear. Because I knew at least that would come into contact with the ear. But for the most part, the fake ears are anchored to my bald cap, which is also latex. And I did go around the edge of the ears just to kind of help blend them in with the bald cap with some liquid latex as well. And I'm going to paint all over that too, but I digress. I did go ahead and start applying some of the little lumps and bumps I made, but I didn't like how they were coming out, so I took a break from that to work on putting on my horns. I lined those up on top of my head, and then I put one of them down and traced around it with the white jumbo pencil, and then picked up the other one and then traced around the other base, just kind of using the general area that I traced the other horn as a guide. And for the white cream makeup, I used Mehron and Snazzaroo. These are both pretty thick, and I used a disposable sponge to get the product out and spread it around. And before getting too detailed, I went ahead and applied my horns, just using some liquid latex. Put it on both the bottom of the horns as well as the area, the space that I mapped out. And once it got tacky, I just stuck those suckers on. I went around the base of each of the horns, just tacking down any of the little extra pieces, and then I moved on to starting to paint the rest of my face and body. I used a disposable sponge to apply the paint or the cream, used a brush to spread it out, and then used a large beauty sponge to kind of alter the finish of it because it had that really creamy shine, and I wanted to bring it down to like a matte or kind of like a satin. And I just repeated those steps, add paint, spread it around, and then blot it down just till I got the opaqueness and the finish that I wanted. And I brought that down to my shoulders and my chest area. Once I got to the opaqueness that I wanted, I started to set everything. I used the Nye Superwhite powder, and I used a dense powder brush to go ahead and just push that into the cream foundation. And it was around this time I realized I did not like how my little lumps and everything that I pre-made came out, or like the placement. So instead of having them scattered around my shoulders and everything, I just kind of made a large cluster of them on my chest. I wiped off the makeup that I applied, and starting from my just beneath my ear, I made kind of like a trail of them to where they all just ended up centered on my chest. And I used liquid latex to apply those on the area. And I also started adding other things. So I had like some jewels and stuff, like some big faux crystals and diamonds and stuff, and I started sticking those into little areas and whatnot as well, and adding a few more rhinestones and stuff just to kind of still get the effect that I wanted, which it worked out fine. I feel like this ended up coming out even better than just having them sporadically applied around, because it looks like it was just done in a hurry. And also maybe Greed likes to look in the mirror and see their collection sometimes, so it worked out and I like it. So I went ahead and grabbed some mixing medium and metallic gold powder, mixed that together, and just created this almost fleur-de-lis looking design on my head. It wasn't based off of anything in actuality. I just wanted some pretty gold swirls to cover up this huge space, and I didn't want to keep adding gold leaf on top of everything, and it worked out really nicely. While I let that dry, I went around the chest piece I made and just filled in any spaces that were still showing my skin color. I also found some trim that I had that happened to match the rest of the gold perfectly, and I just put that around my horns, around the base of my horns, just fixing that there with some liquid latex, and that came out really nicely. And after everything had dried, I went ahead and just dotted some rhinestones along the design on my forehead, just because, of course, we needed some extra bling up there. And then I moved on to the lips. I wiped off the lip mask that I had on, and I was going to at first use this white lipstick, but it was really patchy and it didn't layer at all. So I ended up wiping that off, and then I put my lip mask on once again. And this time I used the metallic powder and just blotted that on top of the lip mask and blotted my lips together. And then that came out really nicely. I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was. The finish was really nice and it was super shiny and I liked it. For final touches, I applied the gold paint all the way down my arm, and I avoided my actual fingernails just because I was worried that the adhesive for the false nails wouldn't stick to that. I applied a fake septum piercing as well as these gold double fangs that I got from Amazon. And I also put some rhinestones at the bottom of my face as well, just to tie everything together. To apply the actual mask, I applied liquid latex to the bridge of my nose and the bridge of the mask. And I did a test fit and realized that I needed more paint around the perimeter because you could still see some of my actual skin. And after doing one more coat of liquid latex on both and letting them dry, I applied the mask once again, did a few more last minute touches, and then here is the final look. I am so happy with how this look came out, and I hope you enjoyed watching me create it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye-bye.